Yo, hey guys, SmallmouthCrush. I'm excited for this video because we're going to go over my brand new 2023 Caymas CX21. This is one amazing fishing machine, especially for the type of fishing that I do. So if you're looking to rig your bass boat properly, if you're targeting fish offshore, if you're using your electronics a lot, if you fish big water, this is the video for you. We're going to break it all down and show you this rig. Show you who rigged it, show you where I got it. It's all coming up. So this boat is by far the best bass boat I've ever owned. The way it's rigged, everything about this boat is amazing. So Steve from BassFishin Electronics is the one who rigged this whole boat. And he knows exactly what an angler like me that likes to fish big water, offshore, use my electronics, how to rig this thing. And so I had him on and did like a little chat over the computer, which I'm going to share with you guys. And he goes into detail everything extra that they did to get this boat to perform exactly how it should. So the top things that are important to me is making sure all my equipment is secure, is going to fall apart, is going to be able to handle the abuse that I put it throughout the year, and everything needs to just work and be functional. There isn't something on here that I do not use. Like if there's an extra piece of equipment, whether it be electronics or you name it, it's there for a reason. So let's check out that video and break down this boat. We got Steve in the studio here. We're actually going to be going over the boat build and everything that was put into this boat. It's been an amazing machine, man. You really know what you're doing when it comes to rigging. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're an angler yourself, a tournament angler, a successful one that's put a lot of time on the water, and you know exactly, what guys like us need when it comes to, I'm going to call it extreme fishing, extreme rigging, electronics, and everything. Man, you just hit a home run here. So, if we could just take a moment, talk a little bit about your background and, how you got to this point, how you actually created, BassFishin Electronics.
Yeah, so I started out about 3 or 4 years ago. I was just messing around with used units to fund this addiction that we all have. Going up to Lake Champlain was costing me a fortune. So I started selling used units, and it just kind of snowballed. And here we are 3 years later. We've got a brand new shop we're working out of. We can fit 6 boats inside. We're booking 2-3 months out and staying crazy busy. So it's been an awesome roller coaster ride in a very short period of time.
It was amazing just stopping there and seeing everybody. I mean, you got a heck of a crew that's helping you out, and you guys just have everything dialed in. I mean, you've seen it all, right? When you have that experience and you do it all the time, it really, especially with all this high-tech gear. Take my boat, for instance. We got so much stuff going on up at the bow, whether it be the live scopes, and obviously I'm running 2 transducers, 2 of the Garmin transducers, but then we also went ahead and put the cornfield crappie pole on, and then you have your Humminbird 360. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, it's changed so much over the last 3 to 5 years, right? And what these marinas and dealers used to be able to do is kind of outgrown them. And it's not like you said, not bashing them in any way. But this is my life, right? Day in and day out. All I do is talk about fish finders, trolling motors, power poles, right? And the stuff's changing constantly. There's software updates, there's new features, there's new components being added on. And, it's not realistic for a marina that's overseeing so many different components, including the outboards and all that, to be able to keep up with that. So that's where, a little niche business like we're doing here kind of comes into play, and we're able to stay up on all this stuff. And like you said, we use it as well. So that helps tremendously, understanding what the customer wants in the end.
So this was my second Caymas CX21. Of course, you actually bought a Caymas through Richie over at Thayers as well this year. And so it was cool seeing your boat in there and working on it. And we did a lot of things similar far as the rigging goes, but you work on all different brands of bass boats and even other fishing boats. I think I saw a long aluminum boat in there last time I was in your shop.
Yeah, we get a ton of tracker aluminums, Vexus aluminums, Lunds. We even dabble in some saltwater stuff. It's not our main focus, but we got a shop big enough we can accommodate some pretty decent sized center consoles and things like that. So our main focus is definitely bass boats, but we can do pretty much anything that needs trolling motors, fish finders, any of that stuff.
So let's talk a little bit about the actual build of my Caymas. So I do a lot of offshore fishing and I rely on electronics quite a bit. I was a little worried going into this year's boat because I'm adding things to that trolling motor. As you can see here, there's just a lot going on. We got 3 graphs up front. I have the Humminbird, the 2 Garmins. We have the pole that allows me to use that transducer even when my trolling motor is on spot lock or anchor lock and holding me in place. But then I also have that transducer that's mounted right on the trolling motor. So I'm actually able to track down fish and see things as I'm using the trolling motor as well. But then we also put that 360 on, which I find is very valuable. So my setup, I feel, is perfect for the way I fish. And now it's not for everybody. And of course, you don't have to go this extreme. But the fact that you guys were able to just put all that together, make everything work. I know what, if I was trying to do it, it would not have turned out at all. The amount of detail that goes into it, just making sure everything's perfect as far as the wires and things like that, and the brackets and the mounts to make sure it holds up in big water. Can you talk a little bit about that setup up front?
Yeah, so a lot of your end result product came from me breaking a lot of stuff over the last few years on my own personal boat. And I've run a similar setup to yours the last couple of years with 360 and a pole mount. And you don't see a ton of people running a pole mount, but I think it's going to grow and grow. And it's a lot of weight on that trolling motor. So we've developed stabilizers for these pole mounts for the cornfield, the DD26 live foot, the right height turret. I mean, there's so many different pole mounts. The Foresight is a new one. And it's just nice to have something to stabilize that thing and keep it solid in rough water. And, on yours, that's what we have set up with the cornfield live sweep and then our stabilizer. And I think you can see that thing's just rock solid.
It is. I had the opportunity to run some big water already with it. And it is, I'm really impressed with it. Not only am I impressed with the setup and the fact that those mounts secure everything in place, because there's a lot going on up there, but you also took the time to really look as far as the back end, what's holding those electronics on at the bow. So of course we use Bass Boat Technologies mounts. They make a great mount. I have the triple mount up front, but you went above and beyond just throwing some bolts in and putting those units up at the bow.
Yeah, so when you're adding on 3 units like that, right? So you've got a custom Bass Boat Technologies mount with 3 units, and you put that on the scale, and I don't know what it weighs, but it's a significant amount of weight. If you're running big water, it's inevitable you're going to stuff a wave, and that force that comes over from a wave running over the bow is just tremendous. I mean, I've built broken gimbal brackets and bent all kinds of 1/4-inch aluminum. I mean, it's amazing how much force that is.
Do you remember back in the day when you used to use a ram mount or something to hold one up at the bow,
right?
And you stuff a wave and it just collapse over, and you thought you could tighten it up. Yeah, there's extreme force. I mean, I've broken windshields from stuffing waves, and you can be the best driver out there. It's going to happen, especially when you're dealing with some big water. I don't care how good you are. So we've all done it. And so being able to protect that investment from breaking, I don't know how these boats handle this stuff, but obviously you got to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's, we don't, if we're going to do a setup like yours, right, that's so much money invested. We're going to make it to where it's, to the best of our ability, it's going to hold up. And so we take the extra time and we cut out a custom starboard template, which is, marine grade. That stuff, once you put a screw into that, it's not going to back out. So that's the little things we do to try to protect these investments that you guys are making, right? And that's a step you don't see very often at other places. There's a handful of places that'll do that, but it's very rare, right? Because it takes time, and that's totally custom. And that kind of spills over to what we did on your trolling motor too with the troll tamer. That's kind of the lifeline of that Ghost trolling motor with all that weight on it, is having that troll tamer on there and through bolting it. So we take the extra step and drill all that out. and through bolt it with stainless lock nuts and heavy duty fender washers. And that way you don't have to worry about that trolling motor getting damaged when you're running that rough water.
And it's a clean look too. And it's easy. You can take your finger or take your foot and open it up, deploy the motor, and it stow the motor. You bring it back down and it locks in place. That trolling motor is not going anywhere. And just the wiring, you guys can see in the video here. I mean, it's very precise. I've broke wires before because it was kinked or things were hitting or deploying. When you lift it up and down a trolling motor hundreds of times a day, and those wires aren't perfectly positioned properly, I mean, there's nothing more annoying than that.
Yeah, we see it all the time on Facebook and stuff, right? You see a guy with his brand new LVS 34 cut in half. There's no worse feeling than that. So we take our time, and you've got a lot of wires coming up your trolling motor here. So we take our time and route all that stuff properly, put loops where we need it for the stabilizers, and we use these flex root connectors that really make it neat and organized, and we'll keep it that way all season.
So if I ever had any issues with the wiring, or if something comes loose, or if I have to get under there, obviously we would take out the Bass Boat Technologies mount, and we would take off that plate and get up under there. Just looking at it when you're putting all that together, I mean, even down below, all the wires are perfect, even though you can't see it.
Yeah, so the number one issue we see when these boats come into the shop is that we'll take the bow plate off, and the trolling motor wire will be wrapped around everything in there, and that's the number one cause of interference. So that's something we don't take lightly, and we take our time, and probably more time than other places, but we separate all that stuff and zip tie it, secure it down in there so it's not flopping around and just laying on top of each other. And that way too, if, like you said, if you ever have to get back in there, it's all going to be neatly zip tied, and you can see where everything's going and be able to fix that quickly if you ever had a problem.
So we head back to the boat here. You can see at the steering wheel here, we got a Garmin and we have a Humminbird. I really like the Humminbird for their side image. I like some of the maps that Humminbird provides, but I really love the 2D on the Garmin. You guys really mounted that thing secure, like it's not moving.
Yeah, I mean, we owe a lot of thanks there to Van at Bass Boat Technologies. He came up with a special mount for that Caymas, just like he does with all the other brands. He always adapts to every boat manufacturer. And the way he made that, it's a little confusing at first if you're installing it yourself, but once you figure it out, it's unbelievable how sturdy that mount is. I mean, you could probably lift the boat up from that mount, the way that it's secured on that console.
And there's so many different mounts that they can customize for your boats, whether it's 3 units, 2 units, just 1 unit, and it doesn't matter what brand. They basically have a mount for whatever situation you run into.
Yeah, I mean, he's hands down the best on the market, if you ask me. I mean, it's amazing how he adapts to all these different, I mean, all the way back to 2008, I think, and then some other mounts for the older stuff, but everything fits perfectly. It's a great company to deal with. The only thing I'll put on my boat.
So we're going to the back of the boat now. You can see I'm running power poles again. I've been with power pole, gosh, probably since 2010, 11. And for me, that's customer service, and I love the guys down there. It's a great product. I went with 10 footers. Last year, I went with 8 footers on my boat, and there was just some certain situations where I really needed that extra foot or two. And so I'm happy with the fact that I'm back with my 10s. If anyone's kind of on the fence, if they feel like maybe their 8 footers are not adequate, I mean, I would say 80% of the boats out there are the 8-foot poles.
Yeah, I mean, the majority you see are 8 footers. The 10 footers it just makes it a little more difficult under bridges and stuff like that, right? But
yeah, or your garage. Right. I'm finding that every day. I back the boat in and out, so you do have to lower it. But so actually, my boat came in a little bit sooner than the power poles came in. So we sent all that to your shop, and you actually installed all that as well. It turned out great. The detail that went in just with the mounts and the hoses and everything associated with that at the back of the boat, as you can see, is just a real clean look.
Yeah, Caymas gave us a great platform to work with back in the bilge, and we took our time and laid everything out, for the power pole charge and the lithium batteries you have, and you'll see the BFE prop holder down there as well. And we were able to lay all that out with the power pole pumps, all that, and keep it nice and clean. And then you have wide open access still to your center hatch down there for your pumps.
So over the last couple of years, I used the power pole charge quite a bit. And I'm really loving that as far as a charger for my lithium batteries. I never have to worry about it. In past videos, a lot of the viewers know that I have great things to say about that. But I love the way you actually mounted it. It's a little different than previous years. Again, you took the time to go above and beyond just a standard way of mounting that charge down there at the back of the boat. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you'll see in the back of the bilge here, there's some spots where we could attach some starboard to. So we made a custom starboard plate that would kind of allow us to put that power pole charge in the very back end of the boat. And it just opens up more space by doing that as something, it's an extra step we took. And that's the kind of things that we do just to make this as clean for you as possible. And I mean, there's nothing worse than crawling around in a bilge out on the water and you're trying to fumble through wires and, you can't get your hands in certain places. So we really try to pay attention to that and lay it out to where it makes sense and it's serviceable out on the water.
So one thing as a tournament angler, or even if you're just out offshore, far from land, right? If you're running any issues out there, and it's never happened to me, but I've heard of stories of guys, throwing a blade on their prop or having an issue. So to me, when I'm making those long runs, it's important to have a backup prop on the boat. And of course, make sure you have your hub kit and everything else that you're going to need, and the tools to take care of that on the water. But you have a great mount. A lot of bass boats don't have a specific designated area to put a spare prop. Now you can buy those bags or whatever and throw them in a compartment. That just takes up room. And I don't trust a loose prop at all anywhere in my boat. But your prop mount's solid, rock solid for sure.
Yeah, that's the last thing we want, right? A big heavy prop flinging around in your compartment, chipping fiberglass, whatever. So we designed that simple little prop mount. You can put it in the bilge, you can put it in the compartment, then it'll just keep that prop in place and make it nice and easy to get to.
And you can see here just how everything is very detailed as far as the wires and how everything's set up and the way you took the time to, if you just look at the lithium batteries here and see how everything's connected. I mean, you, again, go above and beyond.
Yeah, lithium batteries have become a critical part of a bass boat now, right? Because we've got so many electronics and we're running these things 12, 14, 15 hours a day. So the lithium battery setup you have there with the 236 volts in parallel, I mean, you couple that with the power pole charge. I mean, honestly, you probably go 3 or 4 days with your setup, you know what I mean? And same thing, if you go over here and look at the crank inside, you've got these two in parallel. And when you're running 2 live scopes, 2 active targets, 5 graphs, that's when we get into that area where we need that second battery to keep all that stuff powered. And also, safety reasons too, you essentially have a backup. So if something did ever happen, you've got a second one there to back you up.
All right, so at the back of the boat, I'm running 2 different transducers. I wanted to have both units with the capabilities that they offer, right? So although I'm using my side image a lot on my Humminbird, if something ever happened to my Humminbird, I would rather just be able to switch over and have it ready to go. I have my Garmin ready to go. So we mounted 2 transducers at the back off of the jack plate, and it's a real clean look. And I'm really impressed with the mounts that you have designed for that. And I'm sure you have mounts for every transducer that's out there, but talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we make jack plate mounts that'll allow you to mount your Garmin transducer, your Lowrance transducer, your Humminbird transducer on the starboard side or on the port side of the jack plate. And it's just a cleaner way of doing it, because in 95% of the bass boats, right, we have a shoot-through hull transducer to give us our 2D readings. So we'll put it on the jack plate. You don't have to drill into your transom that way, especially if it's a brand new boat. And also, like you have set up here, we can run the 2 transducers as long as we keep them level at the same height. You're not going to get any interference. So it's kind of cool to be able to run 2 different brands and kind of see which one you like better, or just simply have a backup, like you said, when you're out on the water.
So another new product that I'm using this year on my Caymas, and it sounds like, oh, is that something I really need? I mean, if you spend as much time on the water as I do, early morning, late at night, coming in at dark, just that power pole, the light that you designed is awesome, man. It's very sleek, solid. I've already I don't want to say this, but I've already almost barely touched the top of the garage door with it, and it still works. So that's a good thing. But that's like something you don't think about. I mean, as simple as it sounds, right? This is like, first world problems. We actually have to go in there and pull our light stick and put it in the boat. But it's really nice just being able to hit a button and all the lights go on, all your navigation lights go on.
Yeah, it's a brand new product for us. So we're making them for the power poles. It'll fit the Pro Series, the blades, all the models they have. We also make one for the Minn Kota Raptor as well. Those power pole lights, like you said, it's just a convenience factor. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll go out after work and it'll start getting dark, and you don't want to have to go fumble through and find the light pole and all that, right? You just hit the button, the anchor light's on, and you're ready to go. And we took our time, just like our other products. They're all made in the USA. It's all aluminum, anodized. There's no, we don't cut corners on anything we do. So that light's designed where you're not going to have to buy another one and worry about it falling apart or discoloring or any of that stuff.
All the products that you have that we mentioned, that we talked about, and there's a lot more. I mean, I think we missed even the trolling motor that I have up front, that little padding that you put on there. I mean, of course, it matches the boat perfectly with that blue highlight. I mean, that's just one of the dozens of products that you have to offer. So where can guys that are interested talk to you about some of this stuff?
Yeah, so if you go on BassFishinElectronics.com, you'll see all the different products we have. We try to make the website as easy to navigate as possible, and you'll see a whole section with our products. We got some closeout deals on there. We're always adding new products. We sell trade-in units, so any of that stuff you can find right on BassFishinElectronics.com. You can give us a phone call. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and we also have a strong presence on Facebook too, so you can follow us on Facebook and get all the latest updates. All
right, listen, Steve, you hit a home run with this rigging job. I encourage anyone who's in the area, and listen, you have guys from all over the place bringing their rigs to you, right?
Yeah, we've got New York, Vermont, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maine. I mean, kind of all over the East Coast coming up, and we're happy to accommodate that. If you're coming from real far away, you can always coordinate it with us, and we'll get you in and out as quick as possible. Maybe just have to spend one night or something, but we try to be as accommodating as possible.
And again, I encourage anyone who's looking to get their boat rigged to give Steve a call. Now, listen, I know we didn't really talk too much about it, but you know how to catch a fish or two as well. For those that may not know, I mean, Steve's won some pretty big tournaments. I know Lake Champlain is one of your favorite bodies of water to fish. And I'd like to invite you back to do one of our live shows in the future here, if you're interested. Kind of dig into some of these ways that you catch some of these big smallmouth. I know you do a lot of offshore fishing for smallies, and you've had a lot of success with that in the past. So we'd love to pick your brain if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back on, and we can hit on that a little more. Something I discovered a couple years ago was offshore smallmouth on Champlain. That's kind of where I've spent most of my time, and it's been very rewarding the last few years.
Man, that's awesome. So we'll definitely have them back on the live. If you guys are watching at a later date right now, go in the description of this video, and you're going to find all of Steve's information as far as how to contact him, how to get your boat rigged. And then we'll also have a link of the interview that we do talking fishing with you down there. So actually back in the spring, I picked this boat up from Thayers. This is my second Caymas from Thayers. Those guys are unbelievable. If you're interested, and they have all types of different brands of boats. They do service, they do sales. Richie over at Thayers, in fact, I'm going to pull a clip talking with him this past spring about their dealership, and I encourage you guys to give those a look.
Yeah, it's been very, very busy. Last weekend, I think we sold 18 boats between Saturday and Monday. It was wild. Now that we cover so many brands, Caymas, Ranger, Triton, Nitro, we also are taking on Bass Cat, which we're in the midst of right now. We do have a few in stock. And then we have another surprise coming in about a month or so. We'll be releasing it about the same time as the brand at the Classic. Just a little hint. Very excited for that to come down the pipe, and things are moving in the right direction.
Very good. Awesome.
Currently getting another showroom open, so we'll have probably another 25 or 30 boats inside, so
Sure.
90 to 100 boats possibly inside at any point.
Great. I know you're well known throughout the area, but where can people find you as far as location? And you're pretty much here every day, right?
I'm here 6-7 days a week. I work from 6 in the morning till 11 at night, and we're in Norwich, Connecticut. You guys are welcome to come by anytime.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Hey, listen, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I do a lot of fishing videos. We also have a live every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern with my co-host, Epic Eric. We bring in guests, we talk fishing, we talk all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna be shooting a lot of videos throughout the season in this Caymas thing. This rig is ready to go. Listen, this boat's actually gonna be for sale in the fall of 2023. So if that's something you're interested and you're serious about it, definitely reach out to me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you guys haven't already, we do a lot of videos. I'm out there on the water all the time. I'm playing with tackle. You got rows and rows of tackle here. I got all kinds of craziness. Rods for miles, and we put them all to use, trying to catch some bass and an occasional walleye, salmon, trout. Who knows what we're gonna get into, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm actually up in New York right now. This is my new home base, not too far from the St. Lawrence, Lake Ontario. I also guide, so if you wanna check out my guiding service, you can head on over to SmallmouthCrush.com and get a hold of me there. All right, we're gonna wrap this video up. I hope this gives you some tips on how to rig your bass boat and any ideas. Give Steve a call over at BassFishin Electronics. Again, all the information will be down in the description below. Richie over at Thayers. What else can we say? Can't wait to get back out on the water with this. And as always, until next time, we will see you guys on the water.